So, hello and welcome to Sound Mind, Sound Body. I am Izzy Naud and I host these sessions every month. And since last year, I've been receiving guests. And today, I have the honor to receive Ross Harvey, who is also known as a drum and bass coach. And I love drum and bass, so this is amazing. Hello, Ross. Welcome.
Yes, good evening. How's it going? Nice to be here.
Yes, it's good. We could all use some drum and bass and some coaching.
Nice. What a combination, right? Brilliant.
Brilliant, yes. I'm gonna read your bio so people get to know a bit about you before we start. So, Ross Harvey is a distinguished human potential coach dedicated to fostering high performance and well being across all walks of life. Ross' mission is to empower individuals from diverse backgrounds to believe in themselves so that they can consistently show up as their best selves. Drawing on over 2 decades of experience as a performing artist, Ross combines this unique perspective with proven evidence based coaching techniques that support individuals from the creative industries and beyond. As a, as a certified International Coaching Federation coach, ICF, and mental health first aider, he champions personal growth with empathetic support, making him a respected figure in high performance coaching and mental health advocacy. Ross's interactive workshops are designed to inspire and provide practical tools for enhancing self talk, building mental resilience, and living with purpose and clarity. His approach is universal, emphasizing that the strategies for amplifying self belief are relevant and transformative for everyone, regardless of their background. Welcome, Ross. Today, we are going to talk about the power of self talk. Wow, that's a very important one.
Yeah, I believe so. Really powerful subject. Yeah, absolutely. There's so much that we can uncover in this conversation, I'm sure.
Yes, so I'd like to start a bit with some background. Um, we're quite connected because we both lived in China and in Barcelona. I'm still in Barcelona. And can you share a little bit about your journey as an MC and what was your experience when you were living in China and in Barcelona?
Yeah, sure. So my journey as an MC probably started around about 1999 when I first grabbed the microphone at a house party, start to throw down some lyrics and realized that got quite a nice response from the crowd. So that kind of encouraged me to write a few more just for fun, just see where it took me. And then kind of over the course of time, I ended up getting some gigs here, small clubs, then bigger clubs, then start to do things abroad. And then about 5 years after I started MCing, that's when I moved to Barcelona.
All
I
right.
decided like I already knew the city. I knew about the culture, the people, the language, and I thought, wow, this is such a great opportunity for me to go move there for a few months, see if I can make some moves in the drum and bass scene, and let's see what happens. In the end, I ended up staying in Barcelona for about 7 years
Oh,
and
God.
really loved it. It was a fantastic experience. I got some nice, I remember, great memories from drum and bass there. It wasn't always easy because I found that the crowds out there were not very kind of welcoming or warm towards MCs at that time, especially probably because all my influences in those early days were the MCs that spit really fast, double time lyrics. And I think that that really didn't land well with the crowd out there at all at first. So that kind of made me realize, okay, what does this crowd want? What is it that they're looking for when there's an MC so that they can actually enjoy the MC instead of getting angry at the MCs? Um, Serious, it was quite a challenge. So I started to write more lyrics that focused on the melody so that the crowd could engage with the melodies and they can follow that as I kind of rhymed in tune with the music. And then that kind of helped me to define my style a little bit when performing for crowds who English isn't their first language. So that was my first
Right.
challenge. But yeah, in the end, I ended up running my own night in Barcelona. I took over Essential Drum and Bass that was running at Plataforma every Thursday.
All
We
right,
did
that's a
weekly nights.
party.
Yeah, original drum and bass party, I think, in Barcelona. So we did that for a couple of years. I worked with all the crews as well at that time. I never really wanted to be specific to one crew. As an MC, I like to be open and broaden my horizons. So I remember working with Breakstorm crew quite a lot. I did Jungle, who I think are still active today. Big up Egress every time. And Tamin and Sekev, great people. And yeah, a couple of other crews as well. Did a few big festivals in Spain like Monegros,
Nice.
Innovation in the Sun. It was just such a cool, lovely experience. Um,
Did you meet Tom at that time?
Stormy, yeah. So I met him before I even moved to Barcelona.
All
Now it
right.
must have been like about the mid, like 2003 maybe. I was out there and he was emceeing at a night in Sidecar, Sidecar.
Yes.
And yeah, I think I got talking to him then. DJ Turbulent was playing, who I think
Ooh,
is still out there now as well. So that was like my
yes.
first connection into drum and bass. I know Stormy has been emceeing since like he must be one of the, if not the original Barcelona MC. And it's great to see him still doing it now, you know. Passion can never fade away. Um, so yeah, like that's where I met him. There was also a couple more MCs out there, Ragatek, Super T. We formed a little collective together and really pushed the MC thing out there in Barcelona. Some people responded really well, others didn't, but I think that's the beauty of drum and bass, right? It's got so many different subgenres, different styles. Um, so there's something for everyone. But we just brought energy.
I
Um,
hope that you get invited soon to MC again in Barcelona.
yeah, that would be nice.
That would be
Definitely.
brilliant.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think it's been a couple of years since I was performing out there last. So I think I'm due a new visit. Yeah, we'll try and sort that out this year.
Definitely. And how about China? Where were you in China?
Yeah, so I was based in Hong Kong, in fact.
Okay.
That's where I was living. Like my day job took me out there. I was working in hospitality, like managing restaurants. Um, that's what I did like Monday to Friday and weekends. Yeah, I suppose it was pretty much felt like 24/7 at the time, on my feet all day in these restaurants. But when I got offered the job out there, first thing I did was check to see if there's a drum and bass scene, because there's no way I was going to leave where I was living if I was going to move somewhere without drum and bass. That just wasn't going to happen. And yes, there was a drum and bass scene. I ended up getting a gig on, I think, my second day after moving to Hong Kong, with Nookie. It was a wicked little jungle night. Magnetic Soul ran it, and they are just celebrating their 20th anniversary this year. They're the longest running collective in Hong Kong and
Oh,
still going
wow.
strong today. So yeah, from the very first moment I landed in Hong Kong, I was already in with probably the top crew, which was really helpful. But again, I didn't pigeonhole myself to one crew. I like to work with all the other crews and work with DJs of all different styles, because that helps me to develop and be a more versatile MC as well. Um, so yeah, that saw me get booked all over Asia. Like so, China, I got booked first of all in Shanghai a few times with a promoter called Jane Siesta. And then later on, Shenzhen, a city which is on the border with Hong Kong, they had
Okay.
a new emerging scene, which in the last kind of, wow, the last 7 or 8 years has really started to grow from nothing to something absolutely beautiful. They've got their own record label there. They've got like prominent DJs coming through, new producers coming through. It's more than just an event, it's an actual movement where like this new audience in China have been discovering drum and bass, coming down and just feeling that vibe, you know, that energy that you can't get from any other music. And it's just been amazing to be a part of that and to watch that grow from nothing to the healthy scene that it is today. So yeah,
Right.
China was just like such an interesting place to go
Wh
because
which year was that?
so I probably played there first of all in about 2013,
Okay.
2013 to 2020. That's when
All
I was
right.
in Asia.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Interesting.
like some of the clubs we played, we went to some really far off parts of the country where not the major cities, all right? Beijing, Shanghai, their scenes have been quite developed for some time.
Yeah,
But
I
we,
know the Beijing crew.
oh,
Uh,
really?
Blackie,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Alex Blackie.
yes, and
Yeah.
I knew someone who used to play dubstep. His name is Maël. He's from France. I don't know if you
Okay.
met him. Maybe he was already gone. Maybe he had already left Beijing. But there was like a good scene of drum and bass in Beijing.
Indeed, there was. Yeah. Alex's crew, I think they're called the Syndicate.
Yes.
Yeah, they were doing some real nice parties for quite a long time as well. Yeah. But yeah, what I was saying was about them, yeah, going to like far off cities or places like Kunming, Dali, where the scene was non-existent. We were the first people to actually play drum and bass there. And I remember this event where everyone was sat down. Like the dance floor was actually just tables, and all these guys just sitting there having drinks and playing cards or whatever. We're on stage doing the set, thinking, wow, this is hard. This is difficult. Like my job as an MC is to get the people moving and hyped up, and no one was dancing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, then we come off the stage and everyone started getting up and applauding and wanting photos and pictures, and everything changed when we came off the stage. But it seems that they simply didn't understand the culture. They didn't know how to dance to drum and bass. No one has showed them. So that was a real interesting moment. Very challenging as an MC, because I was like, it was probably felt like the longest set I'd ever done. Because sometimes the time goes quickly when you're in the flow, but this one was a real challenge.
Oh, wow. Wow, great, great, great. Well, thank you for sharing that. And so now I wonder what your experience as an artist, what happened so that you became a coach? Tell me, is
Yeah,
there
well,
like a specific turning point?
yeah, for me, really, while I was out in Hong Kong, I had a moment where I was quite challenged in that um, I was trying to do too much. I probably were, if I had to label it, I'd say it was probably bordering on burnout. I had a moment when I was working a lot in my day job, like really like to the point of almost exhaustion, but my passion for my gigs and my music took precedent over my own health. And I was like saying yes to gigs that meant I'd have to work maybe 13 hours on my feet, standing up in the restaurant all day, then jump on a bus or a train, go to the gig, perform for 3 or 4 hours, get back home, maybe sleep for 1 or 2 hours, and then repeat the work thing. And that
Oh,
was happening every weekend. And so, like, yeah, I felt myself getting thin. I was getting weaker. I wasn't eating properly. I was grabbing meals on the go, just drinking energy drinks and things like this. Um, and yeah, it was a big challenge. And I thought to myself, right, something needs to change here because this is not sustainable. I slipped over, broke my foot as well. So that meant I was off work for a long time, and
oh,
I had time to think about things and think about my next move. And so that was when I got myself a coach. So I got coached because I needed to figure out what I was going to do next in order to elevate myself to a life where I was happy and stable, rather than this kind of up and down life that I was living. So,
okay.
so yeah, I invested in a coach, and from working with him for about 6 months, I was able to really take control back over my life and not like let my life control me. I got off that hamster wheel that was just constantly spinning around. Um, it was tiring, but yeah, in doing that, in kind of getting control back, I was able to map out my way forward in a way that really aligned with my values. So I made sure that every decision I took really resonated deeply with me and took me towards being my best self, as opposed to taking me further away from being my best self, getting more out of control, feeling more stressed, more tired, and just going down the wrong path. Do you know what I mean? So that's
Right.
how I got into coaching, because I experienced the power of coaching for myself. And from there, I thought, wow, this is amazing. This is something that if I learn the knowledge that this guy's got, I can first of all apply it all to myself so that I can thrive in a way that I've never thrived before. And then when I'm at that level, when my cup is full, I'll be able to serve other people and help them to do that. Like, what
Definitely.
can be wrong with this? It just felt amazing. And yeah, having worked in the music industry for so long, as an artist, as a promoter, I understand a lot of the challenges that artists face because I talk to them all the time. So I realize that there could be a real connection here where I'm able to serve my people from the music industry, more specifically from the drum and bass industry, because I understand their language, I understand their problems. So that's kind of what led me down the path into coaching in a music industry and more specifically in drum and bass.
Yes, and so like talking about the artists and producers and performers, like what would you say are their main challenges?
Wow. I mean, I suppose it's different to depending on where they're at in their career. You know, someone who's starting out early in their career, a breakthrough artist might have different challenges to someone who's at an elite level at the moment. But there are some common challenges such as anxiety, imposter syndrome, burnout, comparing yourself to others, or perfectionism, not happy with a tune because you just need to tweak it a little bit more and just going round and round and round until it's perfect. These are some of the challenges that artists bring to me. Um, or it could just be about balance. We talk about this balance. Does such a thing exist? But we all strive to get something like balance in our life. So again, we can take control over life rather than it being out of control and just dictating our own movements. It can be so empowering to get your hands on the steering wheel and take control yourself.
Yes, definitely. So like in terms of tools, so we have like you want to tell us about self-talk. So how does self-talk impact an artist's confidence, creativity, and performance? Tell us more.
Okay, so for me, self-talk really has the power to either elevate our performance or to completely crush our performance. It all comes down to the self-talk. And I feel like if we break it down into steps, self-talk can be considered the way we program our brain, right? It's like imagine a computer. You program into the computer. If you program it all negative stuff, you're going to get a negative output. And similarly, if you program it all positive, you're going to get a more positive outcome. So our programming is what affects our beliefs. So when we start to program it and talk to ourselves, that will then turn into our beliefs. And that's our self-belief. And when we start to operate from that position of self-belief, that affects our attitude, right? How we approach our work. Then
Right,
when we go up with that attitude, that affects our feelings. So not only are we talking now, we're actually feeling what we're saying. And when we start to feel it, that will come out in our actions, right? When we turn our feelings into actions, that's what's going to get our results.
right.
So when we rewind that tape, it all comes down to the self-talk. That's the foundation. That's what's going to either set us up for success or for failure. Let me use an example. Imagine, Izzy, imagine you're a DJ, right? And you're going to play the biggest gig of your life, the
Right.
biggest gig of your life. Now, let's think about the self-talk. Let's use an example where the DJ is programming their brain with negative self-talk. What's some things that they might say if they're being negative to themselves before a big gig?
Yeah, they'll be like, "Oh, am I good enough to do this? Am I like it? You know, like
Good.
who am I to just have this role in front of thousands?" Yeah,
Brilliant. Okay, so there you go. Am I good enough? I'm not good enough. This stage is too big for me. This is going to be a disaster. Oh my God, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be doing this. So that turns into your beliefs. So imagine you're the DJ. You start to believe that. You're climbing up the stairs to get onto the stage. You believe that this is going to be a failure. Your attitude then is what is crafted after your belief. So you start to get a little bit nervous. That might show up in anxious behavior. You might start sweating, you might start trembling, you might not be able to plug the USB in when you get to the decks. That's your feelings. You look at the crowd, you might feel like a lump in your throat, dry mouth now. Your actions are going to be determined by your feelings, right? So if you're feeling nervous, your actions are going to be a
Uh,
result of
yeah.
that.
Then you're like trembling, and they're like,
Okay, and what's the outcome going to be?
It's just gonna be bad."
Going to be bad. And it all comes down to the self-talk. Now, if we're to look at an example where we see how positive self-talk affects us, let me invite you to imagine you're a boxer going into the ring for a world championship fight. Okay.
Yes.
What's some things that you might tell yourself if you're a boxer going into the world championship fight?
I'm
Positive.
the best. I'm gonna beat that beep.
Brilliant. I'm the best. I'm going to beat them. I've trained for this. I've worked for this. This is my moment. It's going down in the ring right now. Okay. Then that turns into your belief. You walk down the ring. Your attitude is like, yeah, you're confident. You got the chest, big shoulders. Relax, breathe in. You feel it. You walk into the ring. You're confident. How does that affect your actions? You're going to give it your best. There's no space in this mindset for negativity right now. You're going to do the best. You're going to get the best results. Now, you might not win the fight, but it doesn't matter. You've given it your best. You've prepared yourself with the self-talk, which has turned into your self-belief, your actions, and you get the best result as an outcome, as a result of this. So this is really a powerful way of feeling the benefits of self-talk.
Definitely. Oh, wow. Yes. I can feel it. And that relates to what I do also as a Chinese martial artist. Like before going to do a competition, we do the martial salute. And I know that this is like um a way to ground myself. When I do this, I know that, okay, I'm going to give my best.
Brilliant. Okay, so this is a technique that you use, which
Yes.
always helps you to get grounded, turn down any negative noise, any kind of chatter that's going on in the mind, and just focus on what needs to be done. Amazing. Love that.
Yes, and I think that that is a coaching tool that we can teach our clients to be like, okay, choose a movement like pressing two fingers or like pressing your hand against your fist or something. And when you're doing this movement, think of when you were in your most positive state, strongest and most confident, and then each time you will do that gesture you will get into that state, and that's really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely very powerful tool to pull out of the box.
Yes. So let me see, are there any specific self-talk habits or techniques that successful artists use consistently? Give.
Yeah, there are, first of all, daily reminders, reminding ourselves every day of what is our purpose, right? Why are we here? So that we stay aligned with that. That can be a positive affirmation for you as well, can be gratitude, things like this, keeping a journal. These are positive things. It just keeps your mind tuned in to the positive. And let me be clear about something as well, right? Self-talk can be positive. It can also be negative. It can also be neutral. Neutral self-talk is better than negative self-talk. So I'm not here to say like, because there can be a bit of a misconception. People think, oh, you're just being toxic positivity here just by saying everything is great. That's not true, right? What we can do is pay attention to our self-talk. If it's negative, let's try and find a way we can turn that round to make it at least neutral, something that's okay, rather than being amazing, because sometimes that's all we need. We just need to start turning and getting a little shift gradually so that over time we can get the better results. And another thing that artists that I work with use is a self-talk challenge. I do a 30-day self-talk challenge whereby we listen to 15 minutes of positive affirmations every day for 30 days in order to rewire the brain. Because
Wow.
the brain can be rewired because it's just programming, right? All this negative self-talk is pre-programmed. It's probably served us at some time in the past, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to serve us at this moment. That's why it's important for us to catch ourselves when we do talk negatively and think of ways that we can reprogram that or reframe that so that it becomes neutral or positive self-talk.
All right. Yes. Well, you will let us know like how to sign up for that 30-day challenge, right?
No problem. Yeah, I can give you a link. I do it every month at the start of the month. So we do like a quick, well, about 45-minute to 1 hour workshop. And then
Okay.
we just create a little chat group where there is an audio to listen to that combines drum and bass and affirmations. All right. So you
Oh,
see what I did there? I kind of blended the two. And we listen to that every day and we share our results. We have a very supportive environment where we share our wins, we share strategies for finding the right time to stay committed and consistent to listening to this audio every day. Um, everyone can find 15 minutes when you're doing the washing up or going for a walk or whatever it is, But the results can be very, very profound, really. Like some people have said they've had life-changing results from just listening to 15 minutes of positive affirmations every day.
great. Well, thank you. I will share the link in the video description, and also with the people who have get the replay will get also the link. Thank you, Ross.
Nice. Thank you.
Um, let's talk about what's that inner critical voice that we all hear? Why is it so loud sometimes?
Yeah, the inner critic is very loud sometimes, isn't it? Can be very loud. And you know what's really interesting? This inner critic is probably our subconscious. We're not even thinking about what we're saying. It's just there. It's just there talking to us, commentating on things as we go about our life, judging things, judging people, shouting, telling us we're good or we're no good, whatever it may be. Our subconscious takes up about 95% of our thoughts, right? That's where they come from. So it's beyond our control. It just happens.
Hmm.
And if our self-talk is negative, that can be quite a concern. If 95% of our thoughts are negative because they're coming from our subconscious, that's what that inner critic is like. Um,
Wow.
so what can we do? When we do notice that inner critic, one technique is to label it. So, for example, you can call it something silly, negative Nigel, negative Nadine, and just say, hey, I recognize what you're doing. I know what you're doing. I'm not going to listen to you today. I'm turning you off or I'm turning you down. And then that's it. We label it, we recognize it, and we think about something from more conscious thought rather than just letting this little inner critic shout at us and take us down the wrong path, because it will always try to do that. It will always try to take us down that wrong path. That's why we have to be tuned in. We have to notice it when it's happening and then flip it on its head so that we are empowered and we're taking control and not letting these external noises rule our lives.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, I love that. Earlier, I was having lunch with my previous flatmate, and I was telling her that we would have this workshop about the power of self-talk, and that made her think, and she was saying, "Oh, I have to recognize that these past days I've been having a lot of negative self-talk, so I want to be more mindful of my thoughts." So, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's it. A bit about being mindful, paying attention and noticing when the self-talk is negative. It can be like, imagine when you wake up in the morning, your alarm clock goes off. What's the instant response that you do? Is it like something like, wow, great, this is a brand new day? Or is it like, rah, alarm again, just because you've programmed your brain to act in that way every day when you wake up? These are all opportunities for us to switch that negative self-talk to something else.
Definitely. Oh, yes. And so, what are some empowering questions we can ask ourselves when we feel stuff or we have self-doubt?
Okay, so if we're feeling stuck, we feel like the self-doubt is creeping in, that's probably because we've got a kind of negative mindset already. There's a couple of things that we can ask ourselves. We can remind ourselves that if we feel like we're having a breakdown at this moment, things are difficult, what might be possible if this is actually a breakthrough that's about to happen? So instead of focusing on the negative side of things, think about it. Hey, maybe there's something good on the other side of this. Maybe there's an opportunity here. So seeing the opportunity. If we feel like something is slowing us down, something is setting us back from achieving what we want to do, how can we reframe that to be potentially something that's setting us up for success, right? The mind, is it really a setback, or could there be an opportunity here? So remind ourselves that we have control in choosing whether it's going to be a setback or an opportunity. Also, we can ask ourselves, all this negative talk, this negative self-talk that we have in our minds, can that be backed up by evidence? You know, is this 100% true and real, or am I letting my thoughts control me here?
Definitely. Oh
It's
yes,
just
I
about,
love this
yeah,
one.
checking in with ourselves and seeing, can this be backed up by evidence, or is there a chance that this is my own doing right here?
Oh yes. Wow. Definitely. Yeah, to be able to take a bit of distance of what's going on and our thoughts and being like, okay, is it me who's making this up, or is or is it actually happening? So like to take a bit one step back, basically.
Yeah, exactly. One step back, or provide some kind of aerial vision to the situation, what's going on. You know, is there something objective going on here that I can actually back up as a fact or not? Because the mind is very good at creating scenarios, situations, it's very good at overthinking, it's very good at catastrophizing. But the more time we spend in these situations where we let our mind take control, that's a lot of energy that we're wasting that doesn't need to be wasted on this. You know, we've got much more important things that we can spend our time and our energy on. So it's good to pay attention to these kind of patterns so that we can catch ourselves and correct ourselves if we do see these kind of patterns unfolding.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for this one. Yes, definitely. Um, if someone listening today takes just one thing away from this conversation, what would you share with them? What do you hope it would be?
I would just wish that anyone watching this remembers that when it comes to self-belief, our destiny is in our own hands.
Okay.
Simple as that. It's like we can, we do have the power to take control. We do have the power to rewire our brain in terms of our self-talk. And it's just a case of doing it, practicing it. This is not about all manifestation. I believe in this and it's going to happen. It's about actually programming yourself. So reminding yourself that you do have the power to do this, that you can overcome any obstacle that gets in your way, that you are out here and you are going to live your best life. Remind yourself of this, and you will notice how you start to feel elevated and you start to live your life on a different frequency. So powerful. But yes, it's in your hands. We can choose to stay the way we are. We can choose to have these pre-programmed um, beliefs in our subconscious reminding us and jumping into our heads, communicating with us from time to time, or we can take control, shift the narrative, and drive it towards our destiny.
All right. Well, I really love the thing about like elevating the frequency. Like for me, because I'm into traditional Chinese medicine and Chinese martial art, it's a lot about energy, and
Mm.
so that is related also with frequencies. And I'm curious about how do you see embodied practices also, because like we're talking about self-talk, it's a lot about the mind and beliefs and then feelings, but how about the physical side, the body and emotional side of health? What's your
Mm.
take on that?
So I love what you say there about this like somatic awareness, the physical side of it, and that's what we talk about when we say like all the different steps of the self-talk, how it turns into your results. Um, it's once it becomes our beliefs, then we have the attitude that this is going to happen. Then we start to feel it. And it's at that point, we don't just feel it in our head, we can physically feel this within our body. We go back to what we talked about, the boxer walking into the ring. When you start to feel those feelings, You can feel the energy tingling down your arms, into your hands. You can feel it all over your body, just like you've got this sensation that you really believe you've embodied this sensation. And that felt sensation within the body is power, is energy. It's really, you're channeling all that energy in a way that is going to help you to get your results.
Right. And I'm curious, do you tell your clients, do you ask your clients about their practices in terms of like exercising? What are their routines? Does that come into your coaching?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, the thing about my coaching is when I do one-to-one or group coaching sessions, what the work I do is non-directive in the sense that I'm not going to start picking things and asking my client about them unless they bring it up first. So I'll wait for them. If they do talk about the fact they want to improve their physical health, I might ask them, what does your physical health like look like at the moment and why? And why is it in that way? And if they start talking about exercises, start talking about regimes, that's fine. I'll never tell my clients what to do. So this is where I differ from mentors or someone who's got experience or someone who's a consultant with expertise in a field, a specific field. My expertise is in coaching the client. So I will ask them, like, if I feel that I've got a resource or some information that could be really valuable to the client, instead of saying, hey, you should do this, I'm not going to do that. I might, once the client has exhausted all of their resources, I might offer something up for them, which they can then take or leave. That's the kind of, that's my coaching style around this. So it's definitely non-directive, non-prescriptive, more just conversation. But if I have something that I think is powerful and it would be a disservice to my client if I was to withhold that from them, I'll offer it up in a way that allows them the choice of taking it or leave it, because that's empowering the client to make the decision.
All right. Okay. Yeah, and thank you for reminding like the difference between coaching and mentoring and consulting, because sometimes it can be a bit confusing.
Certainly can. Yes. I think it's important. I always clarify that before going into any coaching engagement with a client, it's the first conversation that we have. It's part of the onboarding call. It's like, look, this is what coaching is. Find out if they've had any coaching before. If they have, great. If not, explain the difference between counseling, mentoring, therapy, psychotherapy, because maybe the client needs something else that I can't offer at this moment. So I will direct them to the adequate professional who can help them with what they need. It's all about being in service of the client. I don't want to just take people's money, because that's what I'm out to do. I'm out to help people get the best results. And sometimes that comes from working with a different professional or a professional alongside coaching as well. I work with plenty of people as a coach who are also in therapy, because the
Mhm.
two go quite well together.
All right.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about the topic of substance abuse, because that's something that happens a lot in the music industry because we have access to a lot of like alcohol and drugs, and it's like it's kind of like accepted that it's part of the scene, but it does bring some quite disastrous effects. How do you handle if a client comes to you and be like, okay, I think I have a problem with alcohol and drugs.
So yeah, I've had clients who've come to me with this problem or this challenge, right? I like to see everything as a challenge. Um, of course, I will find out what kind of support they've looked for first of all. Look at what groups there are that might be able to support them. So find out what they've done, find out what they want to do as a next step. Is it like you just want to talk about this, or you actually want to take some steps to quit this habit, because it depends on where they are on their journey. But there's no doubt that this is something that's rife in the music scene. As you point out, easily accessible. We make bad mistakes when we're tired, when we're on tour, it's very easy to just take something or go to that after party when staying in your hotel room and getting a few hours sleep would probably be beneficial to you. A good question that that I share with my clients from time to time is just to check in and ask them, hey, before you say yes to something, ask yourself, is this activity that I'm about to partake in going to take me closer to being the best version of myself? Or is it going to take me further away from being the best version of myself? And just let them make the choice. That's a good thing that we can ask ourselves, because it kind of gives us a moment, like just to pause and reflect, and then we make the decision rather than being swept up in the moment, a few drinks, few shots, and then boom, all of a sudden someone puts something else in front of you. It just kind of buys us a moment of time to pause and try and make a decision and then own that decision.
Yes. And do you work with addiction specialists as well, like who to send your clients to, or like
As
to
a
work in
as a
tandem?
referral partner, I don't work with addiction specialists. No. In the past, when I've had clients who have um, wanted to go to Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous, they've done that on their own back. Yeah, I don't refer anyone to those. I do work with a few other partners as referrals as well. Um, I work with a couple of therapists. Sometimes people they look for coaching and they find that therapy is probably what they need at this time. So I do work with a few different therapists who I can refer them to and see if they're a good match for what their client needs.
Okay. And do you work with people only in the UK, or is it international?
International, yeah. So I do in the music industry, very international. I've got clients from, like, having lived around the world, I've got connections in places like Asia, Dubai, across Europe as well. So I advertise my coaching service to them as well, to my network. So, and having worked with artists, international artists, I've built up networks there where they help to spread the information about the work I do to their networks, and I kind of spread it out that way. At the moment, yeah, I've got clients in Australia right now as well. So yeah, time zones. I do coaching at all sorts of time of day. Sometimes I have to get up at 5 in the morning to do a coaching session with someone in Australia, for example, before I go about my day. But yeah, it's all good. I like it. And also, sometimes my clients, when they go on tour, they need to check in as well. They might be on the other side of the world, so that will involve late night coaching sessions as well. But
Mhm.
I love it. It's all part of the job. So yeah, I'm happy to serve my clients at all times of day.
Yeah. Well, don't get a burnout though. Huh?
I have to protect my space and my energy, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Do you actually receive coaching currently?
Yeah.
Self?
Yeah, for about 6 or 7 years, I still receive coaching. Yeah, regularly. I work with a number of coaches. Because first of all, I say that every good coach needs a good coach. Because if I don't receive coaching, I'm going to be just stuck using my own techniques that I've learned, and I'll be applying them to everyone, and I'm not really learning anymore. But in working with other coaches, that's an opportunity for me to learn about different styles and to learn and think, wow, that was powerful. Now I'm going to try that on my clients as well. So I'm really lucky in the work that I do, because aside from my work in the music industry, I also work in my local community as a health and well-being coach. So I'm serving people of all ages, from all backgrounds, all religions, and really it's very eye-opening. And one tool or one coaching technique that I can apply to one person isn't necessarily going to work on everyone. Everyone is a unique individual. So the more tools, the more techniques I've got in my box, that's going to help me to serve a very wide and diverse range of clients in my job. So yeah, I work with coaches, I work with mentors as well. Um, I think DJ Crust. He's been
Yes.
mentoring me for about nearly 5 years now.
Oh,
So a lot of the wisdom I have comes from him.
all right.
Um, yeah, I think it's inspiring to be around professionals who are also at the top of their game, and they have a very powerful message. People like this, they've got knowledge, they've got experience, so much wisdom, and they see things from a different perspective as well. It's like this thinking outside the box mentality, um, that just helps you to consider other perspectives and open up the possibility to a whole world of new whole world of potential, really.
Yes, definitely. And we keep on growing through our exchanges. Definitely. And
Yeah,
that brings
absolutely.
everyone up.
That's it. We elevate each other.
Exactly. All right, I have one last question. It's if you could go back and give one piece of advice to your younger self back when you were just starting as an artist, what would it be and why?
Hmm. I'm just thinking about this advice to myself as I was a younger artist. It's interesting because as I was a younger artist, I always used to say yes to everything, any gig, no matter how big, how small, I would just say yes, 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 yes. Um, and and I'm glad I did. You know, I'm really glad I did because some of your yeah, this is what I'm getting to now. Some of my biggest achievements in music have come because I've said yes to things that people would be like, why did you say yes to that? And it's like, let me give you an example. I've been a resident when I was living in Europe. I was a resident at a night called Drum Station in the Czech Republic. Big drum and bass clubs in Prague. I used to go there every 2 or 3 months for a few years, back and forth. And that came about because I went to Prague with my college class on a trip, and I just jumped on the internet and said, "Hey, is there any drum and bass nights?" I met this guy, and he said, "Yeah, you can play in my bar." It's a tiny little bar. I turned up. They gave me like this plastic microphone that they just bought from the corner shop, and I was like, "All right." Still did my thing, did my set, mingled with the locals, and the guy that organized that event was actually a big promoter of this big night, and he said, "Right, I'm going to book you to come out next month." And from that, I've made friendships with artists all around the world and performed on big stages in that country, you know. So advice I would give to my younger self would be just be tuned in to any opportunity, no matter how big or small. That's it. Be tuned in because there's an opportunity in everything. Even if you don't see it, it's not just about that gig in a small back room in a dingy bar. You never know who might be there. You never know what might come off the back of that performance. And back then I had no idea. But I kind of just let myself get led by my my passion. Passion led the way back then. Yeah, and I'm glad it did.
Right. Wow. Well, thank you. And that was really an inspiring conversation. Thank you, Ross. And
Thank you.
I will share your contact on Instagram. It's the DnB Coach, right?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. And I will post the links in the replay, in the video description. And everybody just join Ross with his 30-day positive self-talk challenge. I think I want to sign up for this one. Really?
Nice. Yes, I'll let you know. So it's next Monday. Let's have a chat and we'll
O-
get you involved.
Okay, great. Well, thank you
Brilliant.
very much.